Frostgrave, the immensely popular and great game written by Joseph A. McCullough, and well, I know it of course for quite a while. I played it mostly solo during the pandemic years ago, and now some buddies of me from my Underworlds group, they are going to start together with me a campaign at the club, and we're gonna play 2nd edition at last. Now I already had the PDF version of it, but as we're actually going to play it, it's always fine to have a hardcover copy, and that's what we're going to flick through today. I found it at Bol at a discounted price. Bol is something like Amazon, but Dutch. So you got what I can already tell, it's a cleaned up version of the 1st edition. So you got your content table, which is a pretty nice oversight. Of course, necessary lore. Book is a good quality, soft pages, not too big in size, not too thick, so that's easily carryable. Love the artwork all in there. So got of course your introduction to what your wizard and warbands do, what you will need to play. It's a miniature agnostic thing, so that's always pretty cool. You can play with your Warhammer figures or your historical figures or whatever you like. You can always find something suitable to represent your wizard and apprentice, and then your henchman. So you got the wizard sheet terrain, and then we go to how to create a wizard. My warband was featured on this channel as well. I went for the witch school, but you got a couple of schools. You got the chronomancer, which was totally OP 1st edition, no idea how it does now. But they basically manipulate time and everything. Now every wizard school also has their alliance, so they have a +2 to cast that one. Their neutrals +4, and their opposed +8 to casting rolls. You will see later every spell has a casting value that you need to roll on a d20 plus modifiers. Your own school of course remains the same. Elementalists, they're the fireball thrower wackos. Enchanters, they mostly improve your gear. And band illusionists, they're just damn fun. I always love to play an illusionist, but now for model reasons I went for something else. Necromancers, because we all want our dead cousin by our side. Sigilists, they are basically scroll writers and readers. Soothsayers are your healers. A summoner, well, he summons whatever you like or don't like if you're the opponent. They have the thaumaturges, who are like, well, these are the clergy kind of wizards. And the witches, which are actually druids and cauldron potion brewers. So that's your basic schools. You have to pick one from, and then you go to your how to choose your spells and your stat lines. Your apprentice is basically a souped down version of your wizard, sharing your stats and going up and down how your wizard improves. And then you can also try your spells, but at a -2 penalty to every roll, because it's just not as good. Then you have all your soldiers. In the basic version you have your 3 thugs and thieves, so that's new. You're always with 10 men, because you can just fill it up with, well, 3 cost figures. They are not that great, to put it mildly, but they, well, bulk up and they can be your shield while you carry off your treasure. You got the warhounds, the infantryman, men-at-arms, apothecary, and then specialists like the archer, crossbowman, treasure hunter, tracker, knight, templar, ranger, barbarian, and marksman. Warhounds and apothecaries are a bit special, not that great in combat, but they have their uses. Creatures in a warband take up a slot these days, so unless the spell says otherwise, but if you summon something or control something, you will take up one of your slots, and that means basically 1 free tug less. You got also your gear. Standard gear is all free for your wizard and everything. Your troops come with equipment anyway, so that's pretty easy as well. And then we go to playing the game. How to set up a table. Basic size is 3 by 3, so you can play it on a kitchen table. Then your turn has initiative phases, wizard and apprentice, the soldiers, and then the creatures. And then you just go how you activate. You can do group activation if you're close to your wizard and everything. How movement works. Not too hard. Everything. It's a pretty simple yet deep game. So 1 or 2 games and you're totally away with the rules. It's also with combat, like you see here, the examples I do. You roll a die, above a die 20, then the highest score wins. Add damage modifiers, reduce the armor, and if you end up on a positive value, still that's how much damage you do. Same goes for shooting. Then you use the shooting stat in place of the melee stat. Spell casting is basically a dice 20 that you roll and you have to score, but if you fail you can suffer damage, and that can be pretty nasty if you fail by a very big amount. If you lose by 1 by 4 it doesn't matter, but in this edition you get experience for failing to cast a spell where you get damage from. You can still empower, so give life points to boost your spell to make sure it gets cast, and then for the rest it's all collecting treasures. There's an AI system for how the random creatures or the scenario creatures work and what to do after the game, because, well, campaigns, that's what it's all about. You want to grow your warband, you just don't want to play one-offs with the same warband all the time. That's, well, put it mildly, pretty boring. So you want to have like in good old games like More Time and Everything or Necromunda for the science fiction lovers, you want to see your warband grow, get better, get worse. Yeah, learn more spells, get better at casting spells, improve your stats, get better henchmen, all the shebang. Depending on how much experience and gold you can get, and there are big treasure tables. You can see you can find potions, gold crowns, magic items. There's an explanation of all the potions as well. You can find scrolls, which are one-use spells, or grimoires, which you can use after a battle, but not in a battle that you found it, to learn new spells, which are also determined randomly. You can't sell off grimoires unless you already know the spell, and then they're worth quite a lot of money. So yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. You can spend your treasure as such as new soldiers, new apprentices if needed, or in worst case a new wizard. So to be honest, in that case just start a new warband. Then in your campaign you also pick a base after your first game, so it can be an inn or a temple, a crypt, tower, treasury, brewery or library, or even a laboratory. And then afterwards you can start upgrading that, like with a kennel that also gives a warhound, or a giant cauldron which gives +1 on the casting rolls for brewing potions, which happened before the game. So yeah, that's all that sort of stuff. Summoning candles helping summoning. You have one where you can have an extra warrior recuperate, so well, all that sort of thing. So still, even if you got extra warriors and everything, you always play with 10 figures tops. So then you got your spell list, so that's of course the biggest chapter, because you got quite a lot of spells. They can be area of effect, you're gonna need line of sight, if they're out of game after or before the game, if they're only yourself or on touch. And you got like an animal companion, a witch spell that summons you before the game, perhaps a snow leopard or a wolf, or even a bear or an ice toad, or you can cast Banish, which is of course great against undead, or like the illusionist. That's one of the things that I like. They have a beauty, which might cause people to refuse to attack because they think you're too beautiful to attack. But as you can see, there are a lot of spells. And as you can only pick so many from your own school in the beginning, well, that's quite a job to get your whole school completed. And then you can say that the campaign optional rule Transcendence is done, and then your wizard basically becomes a divine being, wins the campaign, and it all ends. You can continue, but they just recommend that you start a new warband then. Then we have the scenarios. There are 20. The first 10 are basic scenarios, and the next 10 are more complex scenarios. So as you will see when we start playing, we will start up with a Well of Dreams of Sorrows without a random encounter table, on which I will also come back later. That's well, basically a standard scenario, and then afterwards we will be rolling on the basic scenarios, which one we will be playing in the next session, in order to prepare, because at the beginning, if you don't have an extensive collection or not a specified collection, you might want to paint up a certain piece of scenery or a certain piece of monster because you need it in the game. But usually if you have like a fantasy collection, your a historical collection, you're pretty fine. Also, because it's a miniature agnostic, you don't have to use how it's called. For example, let's say you can roll 3 armored skeletons. You don't have that, well, you can just use 3 armored Vikings and call them well, Viking raiders, but use the armored skeleton rules or something. So it's all up to you. It's a bit of like a roleplay meets miniature game thing. So well, basically it's all the fun combat stuff from Dungeons and Dragons and all the fun loot stuff from Dungeons and Dragons, but without well, the whole traveling and things in between. So yeah, got the minefield scenarios, and then you got optional treasure, and then we come to the bestiary chapter 6. Optional rule, which we are going to use as soon as possible, as from session 2 on. Session 1 will really be to get the hang of the rules again. That's a random encounter table. Got a lot of monsters there. I'm actually painting them up all. I hope by that session to have at least half of them painted, maybe 2/3, and by the next session, then session 3, to have the full encounter table, just in case. Now you can meet something like a single skeleton, which is like a real pushover, but for the same amount you got a bad luck on the table, and you got like 2 snow trolls against you, or a vampire, and you don't want that. They all have stats, of course, bears, boars, giant rats, that's yeah. Small constructs, medium constructs, imps, minor demons, and then you see like a frost giant has 25 health, wounds +4, 15 score for attack, +5 for fight, so yeah. He's just something you don't want to meet on the table. To quote Doctor Who, if you see him, run! And you got your undead, well, basic kinds of undead: skeleton archers, skeleton zombies. There are some in here in the bestiary that aren't in the random encounter table, so that's what I mean. If you just paint up the random encounter table, you might need to practice like your skeleton archer or something, or just, well, paint them up as well. That's all the special effects that animals can have, so they can have powerful attacks, which is, I mean, their damage is doubled, or they can be immune to certain type of spells. And then there's, and this is pretty great, an appendix that lists everything that was in the first edition and that can be used. So like all the supplemental soldier tables, like the Bard or the Rangifier or the Pack Mule, where it can be found, in which expansion from before. Most can be easily also found pretty cheaply on Wargames Vault and everything, PDF form, or even free on the Osprey site, whether they're in the new game a standard or specialist. It also talks about the supplements, if something has to be changed, if you want to play it in 2nd edition, for example, Fall of the Leech Lord. No major changes are necessary. Into the Breeding Pits there are some Tunnel Fighter clarifications that are no longer relevant, so it's all mentioning that here. The Wizard's Conclave, well, some scenarios that might need a little tweaking, but that's why you need like one player who's just well, I'm not gonna say dungeon master. He can play the campaign, but he does a bit of the paperwork where needed. And then there's still an appendix with all the spell cards. If you go to the Osprey website itself, you can also print this off, so that's also pretty handy. Same with the wizard sheets, so you don't need to fold your book to copy or anything. You can just download it from the website from Osprey. So this one is also pretty handy. You can write there your spells that you have and how many possible their current casting values, because you can improve that, but also what your modifiers are for being from different schools and your wizard itself. And then you have the quick reference, which is basically, well, I would advise before you play your first game, read those few pages and you're already gonna have a pretty good idea of what's going to happen. And that's it, a quick flick through the Frostgrave 2nd edition rulebook. Great stuff. And I'm looking forward to playing it, so hopefully I'll see you soon on this channel with how it all went and how the adventures will continue. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay safe, bye bye. For watching this video, and if you want to support me, check out the link tree above for all my channels, so you can have a look there, or my affiliate links, so there's a little kickback to the channel for more content. And if you really like, you can always buy me a coffee. Thanks, and bye bye.